All right. Thank you, Mr. Williams, for letting me use one of your assignments as an example for how we can modify an English assignment. So this assignment, it wasn't anything too crazy or in-depth. They just had to come up with 5 different research ideas based off of the book that they were reading, and then pick a main topic, and then they had to list 2 websites that they found information from, give 3 main points on those websites, and then write a paragraph using at least one parenthetical documentation in their paragraph. And it had to be 5 to 10 sentences in length. So again, for a gen ed student, nothing crazy or complicated or difficult. But for a student with a learning disability or special needs, that can be a little overwhelming. That could be like a lot of facts for them to handle. So I modified this assignment and I shortened it from being 5 topics to 3. Then they had to still pick that one main idea. And instead of 2 websites, I had them pick 1. And they had to give 2 main points instead of, I think it was 3 or 4, what the original one was. And then finally for the paragraph, I removed the requirement for the parenthetical citation, and I reduced the sentence length to 5 to 7 sentences long. So the student is still getting the meat and potatoes, essentially, of the assignment. They're still doing the work, but it's just reduced. That way it's not as complicated or overwhelming for them. A lot of my students, especially that are in special needs English classes, they struggle with citations, and they really struggle with finding correct sources for researching. So instead of giving them 5 or having a longer paragraph to write, which is also a struggle for a lot of them, it's just reduced down to a level of work that they can do and a length that they can actually complete. So again, this wasn't a crazy assignment or anything too difficult, and I just shortened it and made it a little bit easier just for that student to base on their needs. So if you have a student who say they're really good at writing, but they get really overwhelmed with doing so many topics, then you can leave the paragraph length and the citation requirement the same and just reduce the amount of ideas or websites they need. So this is all something that can be differentiated, and it doesn't have to be a big change or a completely different assignment. We're just reducing the current assignment. So thank you.
Thank you, Taylor. But most definitely thank you, Ms. Patah, for letting me utilize your lab assignment. Alright guys, for this assignment, Ms. Patah's class will normally work on this assignment for 2 working days. For students that receive reduced assignments, they will not do part 4 of this assignment. Although, Ms. Patah will walk the class through parts 1 through 3 slowly. But as long as they are following along, they should be able to complete parts 1 through 3. And once the student have reached part 3, and they're still struggling, Ms. Patah will stop them at 50 flips or so. This will help that student continue to move forward. Guys, this is an example of a reduced assignment for science.
Next example, I mentioned explicit steps with examples completed in that spreadsheet, or rather table. And so this is an example. I got this from one of the teachers I co-teach with, and in her overview, you would see something like this for her students. And this actually helps all students, but you definitely want to have this written for students who have this accommodation, that is explicit steps or steps, short steps. 4 steps will be considered, 4 steps. You want to kind of keep it, more than 4 would be too much. So you definitely want to keep it under 4. So you can see here she has explicit steps, step 1, step 2, step 3. The steps in themselves are pretty straightforward, quick sentences, something that they can read quickly and definitely relate to whatever skill they're supposed to be performing. Also have an example of how to modify, say, for instance, a paper-based or digitally based assignment worksheet, basically. And so this is a worksheet or assignment on students finding the distance formula. And so they have it in graph form, and then they also have it with the coordinates. And so what I would do in this case is just kind of omit some. If there are any questions that require the same skill, like they look the same, then yeah, just omit some of them. Remember, the whole idea behind an assessment is to see if they understand and they understand the skill. So if there are multiple opportunities for that, then omit it, if they're having reduced assignments. Now, if they missed the problem, then definitely you want to use that problem that you took away to reassess them. Notice I took away question 2 and 3 in the modified version. So I took away 2 and 3 and then 11 and 12. And so you've modified it by 4 questions, but still they have the opportunity to show that they understand the objective, which is to find the distance between each pair of points in a graph and or coordinates. Finally, I wanted to share, and you may already know this, but I'm going to share it anyway. There is a way, and I mentioned this in the table form above, if you go back and refer to that, but a way to do the frequent feedback and check-ins for understanding or checks for understanding. You can utilize that. Any online platform that they're using, like iExcel, Khan Academy, Quizzes, Teacher App, Desmos, a lot of those platforms, you can actually see how they're doing in real time. For iExcel, you can click analytics and then click live, and you can see the students work. And this is a great way to monitor this. As teachers, we should be monitoring this just like we would if we were in the classroom. Monitor that to see how they're doing. If you see a student go red, or you see that it's taking them too long to get to a certain number, then you may want to check in and say, hey, how's it going with that problem? I see that. What will be the first step? Even with iExcel, you can actually click on the actual problem that they're working on and kind of talk them through to just kind of check for understanding or just check in with them. That's the same thing with Quizzes. If you are using a Quizzes and you're trying to modify the assignment by reducing it, then you can definitely make a copy of it and make a copy, the copy that you use for those students who may receive that accommodation and modification. Now, in reducing assignments, and I know this just kind of from being a math teacher, being on the general ed side, you can't scale back too much sometimes, because you scale back too much, then they won't have an opportunity to show proficiency in the particular skill that you're working on.
Thank you, Eastham family, for letting us give you the tools to success for our beloved students here at Eastham High School. Continue watching for some behind the scenes on how we as a team made this all possible.
Students, very.
What is going on? That's the second video.
I get tons.
Greetings. My name is Cleotis Colbert. The keys in the back
is that all students can learn and thrive in environments in which the process is going to KFC.
Here at Eastham High School, and
And then just regular speech. Ugh. You can do that part over.
greetings.
Be the absolute best version of themselves.
All right, now let's talk about.
And I teach special education science and what else I teach?
Roles, support, concerns. Question.